Hey, what's going on guys? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today I want to show you how to install Android 7 or Android 6 using the rtandroid builds. Now you will need a Linux machine. I have my Ubuntu machine booted up. It's very simple. You're going to need a clean SD card. If the SD card is not clean, don't worry, it will format it during the process. We're going to head over to rtandroid. The link is in the description. We're going to need to download whatever image you want to try. Now these rtandroid N images are actually Android Marshmallow with some N features built into the developer options. If you want 7.0, you'll need to find one with a 7.0. I'm going to download rtandroid 7.0 20160829. These numbers will change as you see. As you see, he updates them very often. We'll click on the download you want to download. We want to save the file. Now give it a little bit of time, depending on your internet connection and how fast and how well their servers are working at the moment. It should download fairly quickly. You can check your status up here. Now I'm using the Firefox browser that's built into Ubuntu. While we're waiting for this to download, if we scroll down a bit, this shows you exactly how to install it. Now you can copy and paste, but the problem is if you start copying and pasting, and you don't know what you're doing, you could overwrite something you did not want to overwrite. When the image is finished downloading, we can go ahead and close our browser or minimize it. We need to go and just check out that image we just downloaded. It's going to be in our downloads folder. We're going to want to right click, properties, and we're just going to copy the name. If you want to extract it now, you can by double clicking on it, but we're going to use the terminal to do all of this. To open up your terminal, press Ctrl Alt T. It'll bring up a terminal window, or you can go up to the top here, search your computer, type in terminal. We need to direct this terminal to our downloads folder where we downloaded the image. We're going to extract it using the terminal. We're going to type in cd space downloads. Now this is cap sensitive. As you see, my downloads folder is named downloads with a capital D. We'll press enter. We are now inside of the downloads folder using the terminal. From here, we'll type in unzip, and we're going to paste the name we just copied. Just makes it much easier so we don't have to type this out. Space, hyphen or dash, whatever you want to call it, D, space, period. Press enter. As you see, it started extracting the image. Give it a little bit of time. This will depend on the specs of your computer now. This is a very low-end PC that I'm using here. It's actually a Chrome box with Ubuntu built in, so it may take a little bit of time. My image is finished extracting in my downloads folder. Now you need to grab an SD card. Now I am using an SD card to USB reader. If you have a built-in SD card reader, this should work as well. This is a Samsung 16GB Evo. It's a slower card. They're very cheap. I'm going to plug it in now. And you see it comes up. This is a fresh card I've already formatted. If yours is not formatted, don't worry. When we run this command, it will totally wipe the card and format it correctly. Now we need to find our drive letter. The SD card that I just put in will be SDX, and by X I mean A, B, C, or D. In order to do this, we're going to type in sudo fdisk space hyphen or dash, whatever you want to call it, L. This is going to list all of our external storage and internal storage on our Ubuntu machine. Press enter. You're going to need to enter your password that you used to set up Ubuntu with. So from here, we see that we have a few options. Now I know that this is my SD card. Even though this says 14.9 gigabytes, this is my internal storage. This is only a 16 gigabyte SSD inside of this thing. This device here, SDA, has 3 partitions, one of them being Linux. So I know this is not my SD card. If we go down one, we can see that this is a clean SD card. There are no other partitions on this SD card, and it's SDB. Right now, we're going to install this image to the SD card. We're going to type in period / install.sh space -p space -f space /dev /sdb. Now make sure that this last one here is your SD card. Mine is SDB, so I put SDB here. It could be listed as SDC, SDD. Just be careful, make sure it is your SD card. So this command that we just typed in is going to run the install script that is built into this image that we just extracted. P is going to partition a drive, and F is going to format the drive. And it's going to send it to our SD card, SDB. We're going to press enter. Now this could take a little bit of time. It's going to format the card correctly. You may get a couple prompts here. It contains an ext file. Yours may not see this. I'm going to press yes. We just want to overwrite this SD card. You may get another prompt. Yes. Now if you look over here, you're getting some more SD cards listed. That's because it's partitioning your SD card, and you may see, I believe it's 4 or 5 partitions on this card after we installed Android. Be patient with it. I did have an issue where this did not work the first time I did it on an SD card. I just had to run the command again, and it worked fine. Yes. So now it is copying the boot files, unmounting the boot partition, writing the system image, which is this image here. Give it some time. This really depends on the speed of your SD card. This is a slower SD card, so it might take a little bit of time to write. Alright, so when it's done installing to the SD card, you will see this message, installation successful. You can now put your SD card in your RPi. What we're going to do is take the SD card out of our Linux machine, place it into our Raspberry Pi, and let it boot up. Now I gotta warn you, this first boot can be a doozy. On the website it says up to 15 minutes. I really haven't had to wait more than 5 minutes for the first boot, but after that, every time you boot it up, it's a lot faster. You won't have to wait 15 minutes every time you boot up this system. Usually boots in under a minute for me. So we're going to move to the Raspberry Pi now. We're going to place our SD card into the Pi, boot it up. When we're booted, we need to connect to an internet connection. We're going to want to install Google Play, but we're going to have to come back to the Linux machine before we install Google Play. We need to run this script here over ADB to install Google Play to the Raspberry Pi. So your Linux machine and your Raspberry Pi need to be on the same network. If one's on Ethernet and one's on Wi-Fi, that's fine, but it has to be the same SSID. We're moving to the Pi now. Alright, so we're booted up here. I have a mouse connected. Click Got It. We'll go up to the top here. Now I changed my resolution again so my game capture could capture the screen. It comes stock at 1280 by 800, but I cannot capture it with my game capture at that resolution. I had to change it to 720p. When I do that, my bars go missing down here, the 3 buttons. You will see the 3 buttons on your end though if you have left it at the stock resolution. Go to Wi-Fi, scan for your networks, and I'm just going to connect to this open Wi-Fi I just opened up for this tutorial. Give it a second. Blam, we're connected. Now that we're connected to our Wi-Fi, we're going to want to go to Settings and find our IP address. Settings. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, About Android, Status, and my IP for my Raspberry Pi is 192.168.10.145. Yours will be different. Take a picture of this, remember it, write it down. We're going to need this. So like I said before, you need to be connected to the same network as your Linux machine. My Linux machine and my Raspberry Pi are connected to the same network, TrendNet 652. We're going to go to the Linux machine now. Okay, so we're back at our Linux machine. Our Linux machine is connected to the same network that the Raspberry Pi is connected to. What we're going to need to do is install ADB. If you don't already have it installed, we can copy from this website itself. Ctrl Alt T will bring up terminal. We'll just copy the first one, paste, press enter, enter your password, and press enter again. Press enter when it prompts you. This will add the repository to install Android Tools, ADB, Android Tools Fastboot. We need this to connect to the Raspberry Pi over our network. When that's finished, we'll just copy this one here and paste. Mine's already installed, so it might not do anything for me. Just like I thought. 0 upgraded, 0 newly installed, 0 to remove. If you don't have this already installed, these will be different numbers for you. So once ADB is installed, we're going to need to go to our downloads folder and edit the gapps.sh. Go to downloads, gapps.sh. Now this is a script we're going to run from the terminal over ADB to install gapps to our Raspberry Pi. We need to scroll down until we see ADB_address and type in our Raspberry Pi's address. Now mine is 192.168.10.145. I'm going to save this. Now you can use the same terminal if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and open up a different terminal. Close this. Close this. Now from here, we're almost done, guys. CD, downloads, press enter, ADB, connect, 192.168.10.145. You'll need to put in your Raspberry Pi's IP address again here. Press enter. I'm already connected to it. What I'm going to do is type in period / gapps.sh. When I press enter, it's going to run the script over ADB on our Raspberry Pi. Press enter. It's remounting the system partition, and it's copying gapps to our Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi is going to reboot one time, and we need to reconnect our Wi-Fi on the Raspberry Pi or this will not work. It's now enforcing a reboot on the Raspberry Pi. When the Raspberry Pi reboots, it's going to say ADB unable to connect in the terminal here. That's when we need to go back to the Pi and re-enable our Wi-Fi. Waiting for ADB, it's unable to connect because our Pi is offline now. I'm going to go over to the Pi. I'm not going to record this. I'm going to leave it right here so you can see what happens next. As you see, we're getting an error, device not found. I am on the Pi now on my other monitor. I'm going to click on my Wi-Fi and reconnect to my same network. It's connecting now. Applying correct permissions in my terminal here. Waiting for ADB. All done. The device will boot once again. We can now go to the Raspberry Pi and we will have Google Play installed. We're going to move over there right now. Alright guys, we're booting up Android one more time and it's going to have Google Play installed for us as long as you followed the instructions correctly. I know if you're a first-time Linux user, this can be confusing. Watch the video a couple times. It's really simple as soon as you get the hang of it. You're going to get that eureka moment and be able to do this with your eyes closed. You really will. It's very easy. I know it's a little overwhelming, but it is worth it in the end. As you see now, we have Google Play. I need to reconnect to my Wi-Fi. Now this is the annoying part. Every time I reboot with this Android build, I have to reconnect. Open up the Play Store. It'll prompt us to sign into our Google account, and then you can start downloading your favorite apps and testing stuff out. Watch my previous video. Some of the stuff works, some of the stuff doesn't. There are GPU driver bugs. So as long as you know that this is kind of a test build, then you'll be alright. So this is not a full version ready for the public. There are bugs. You need to understand that before you go through this. I appreciate you guys watching. If you could, hit that like button and subscribe because I got a lot more coming. And like always, thanks for watching.